Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about banned books, or how a book actually gets banned, the process of, and or what you could do to get involved if you so choose to get involved, either for a book getting banned or for a book not being banned at all. We got our guy Matlock with us. Matlock's a pretty smart guy. I'm not such a smart guy, but he is. So we're going to jump right into it. So before a book actually gets banned, it goes through an elaborate process, which is a challenge before it even gets to the banned spot. And there are appeals and a lot of stuff involved before it actually becomes banned. So, challenge versus a ban. You need to spot the fire versus the alarm. A challenge is someone who files official paperwork that basically says, "Dear library slash school, this book alarmed me." So it's just them giving awareness of they found the book, I don't know, confrontational or controversial in some way or manner. Um, Versus a ban, which is the book actually gets removed or blocked from its intended audience. Not every alarm challenge becomes a fire ban. Most challenges do not end in actual bans. So there's an illegal electric fence by various court cases. One of those is Island Trees Union Free School District versus Pico or Pico from 1982. The school boards can't pull books just because they dislike the ideas. Students have a limited right to receive info in school libraries. So, if it's a book about communism, or a book that uses the N word, or a book that may go over sexual wellness, just because the school doesn't agree with the material or the subject matter doesn't mean it can reach a banned status. Um, and then in Miller versus California in 1973, obscenity. It requires prurient appeal, patently offensive depiction as defined by law, and no serious value as a whole. Most literature does clear this high bar. So it's defined by law, whatever they define as offensive depiction and or um, obscenity for just obscenity's sake, with no substance behind it. It's just vile and vain, and it doesn't provide any thought thinking material to help you as a human evolve. Um, then you have Ginsburg versus New York from 1968. States can set youth access rules, which is harmful to minors, quote unquote, in practice that affects placement, not bonfires. Basically, it's a rating system like you would see in movies, video games, or music. It's just like this may harm your minor child's brain for reasons we have outlined. And then you have the private retailers and or platforms. That's a whole different game entirely. They're not the government. They have a delisting policy, not a First Amendment ban. So if they don't think it's good for business or it'll harm their business in some impactful way, they may not offer to carry it because they realize the outcome or out backlash or outlash from that. Public schools and or public libraries are not, excuse me, they are government actors. And constitutional rules do apply within um, public schools and public libraries. So, how does a book go from to we're having a hearing tonight? Think bureaucratic Rube Goldberg machine with forums, meetings, and coffee. Coffee sounds really good. I shall have some right now. Look, it's the coffee cup. Drinking coffee. And carrying on with the meeting. Recording. Yeah. So, step one is you lodge or someone lodges an informal complaint. Someone says, "This book, yikes." The staff that person's lodging the complaint with explains collection policy, age levels, and opt outs, and that's where it usually stops. If they want it to go further, or more than one person wants it to go forward, a formal challenge, which is basically a reconsideration request, then starts. That's where the paperwork lands. The title name, pages cited, reasons listed. Does it have language, violence, LGBTQ plus themes, race and or identity, health, education? This is where your timers are going to start per the local policy, whatever the local policy may be. There's always a ticking clock when this phase is initiated. Best practice blueprints. You have the ALA, which is the American Library Association toolkits. I'm going to be going over a lot of organizations today, and I plan to do standalone videos for our banned book series that we'll be kicking off with today's video. Today's just more of an overview. Those will be down in the description for future literature perusal by you if you want to get a jump start for context. But just bear with me because there's a lot of them. Um, After the formal challenge is made, it goes into the review committee, reads the entire book. Man, all of it. You must read it all. And who composes this committee? Is it an evil council of witches? Maybe, but it's mostly going to be librarians, teachers, or admins, and an admin is sometimes a parent or a student. They check the policy, they give a professional review, they decide if it fits within the curriculum and the context. One spicy line in there or a paragraph versus the entire work as a whole, it doesn't mean it's going to go any further than that. That just may be very marginalized. And they may just say, no, it's good, put it back. um, But from that meeting comes recommendations and outcomes. So they retain no change. They're going to relocate it. So they may move it from like middle school to high school, or from high school to college, or 18 plus. They may set certain access conditions. I mean, the parents can opt in for class use or not. Alternative text. Basically, they offer a substitutional work that is less offensive and less controversial for whatever assignment they're doing. Then we reach the last leg, which is an outright removal, which is a true ban where our first court case starts breathing down the next. And just as a reminder, that is when the school board can't pull books just because they dislike the ideas. Students have a limited right to receive info in school libraries. Um, After the recommendation outcomes, you can, or more than one person, appeal it. So if you or your group is not satisfied, up it goes to the superintendent boards. Or superintendent and or boards, usually a mixture. And that's where agendas, minutes, votes, and a big giant paper trail playground begin. And then lastly, and this is very, very rare, litigation sometimes happens. If it smells like a viewpoint discrimination, hello, American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, and friends, that's when the court's going to ask, where's the policy logic? And so during the review, it's ideal not to just pull the book until after the review and the outcome's decided, just in case. You need to keep access unless the policy says otherwise. And I'm speaking more to the librarians or the people that lend out these books. That's ALA and the National Coalition Against Censorship at the NCAC 101 tactics. How you get involved without becoming that person. Nobody wants to be that person, but sometimes it's necessary. You're going to want to map the maze. You're going to download your district and or library selection and reconsideration policies and their forms. There are going to be forms. They spell out deadlines, the committee makeup, so when things are due, who's on that committee, and all the routes for appeals. The ALA does show what a solid policy looks like. Then after that, you're going to phone the pros. And who are the pros? Okay, let's do this. American Library Association, the ALA, the Office for Intellectual Freedom, which is confidential advice plus case logging. Then you got the National Coalition Against Censorship, the NCAC, which is going to offer you strategy, resources, and model rationales. And you have PEN America, or PEN, PEN, which is going to offer you toolkits plus data. Then you have the Unite Against Book Bans, the UABB, organizing plus messaging. And then you have the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, which writes primers, and sometimes they move it up to the litigation if they think things have gone too far. So, again, all these wonderful organizations will be down in the description notes if you want to pursue further reading. You're going to want to show up early and you want to speak fluent policy. You're a policy quoting machine. You need to use their own words against them in order for them to side with you. So use them so you can be useful in getting that book unbanned, essentially. You want to grab a public comment slot the second agenda's post. So you want to quote the policy and say, evaluate the work as a whole. Because if they just evaluate it based off a paragraph, a sentence, or a chapter, that is not the work as a whole. Legally, it needs to be the entirety of the work. You want to mention age placement, educational value, and professional reviews. So you may agree that it's been misaged. It should not be in the young adult section when it's clearly high school level material and or subject matter. And you got to keep in mind, just because maybe your child or you personally believe that everybody should not be limited in this access, I think we can all agree certain age brackets in general, not all children, but in general as a whole, or the classroom as a whole, may not be able to handle it, and maybe just one or two students. So we want to slide that on over to where everybody can understand it with the mature nature in mind. What's the educational value of the book? The thought-provoking thing, does it provide an educational value? Does it cause one to think? And then the professional reviews, going outside the school's bubble or the library's bubble to professional book reviewers, not just self-proclaimed guru people, which is what I'd be technically, to get a legitimate review of the book and what they say about it. Is it junk, or does it actually provide working prose that cause one to think for a lifetime? Boards relax when they hear rules, not your opinion. So again, you got to use the ammunition they provided you, and you got to play by their rules because it's their game. So you want to build a small, credible squad. Oh, I like that. Squad of book people. It's usually around 5 to 10 people who actually read the book, parent at each level, one student voice, a teacher and a librarian, maybe a local author or a faith community leader. Short evidence-based comments beat giant petitions or skim readers. Yeah, skim readers, you go to the back of the line. Nobody cares what you have to say. And people who love petitions for petition's sake, you can go behind them, in my opinion. Again, my opinion. So, you want to also offer alternatives. You don't want to offer solutions that allow it all the time. You can put like the age limitation, like relocate to older shelves, use the parent opt-ins where the parents can sign off if they're okay for class use or not, or provide alternate text, a book substitution. You solve the concern and keep access to that book. Keep it classy. No dunking on individuals. So basically no mudslinging at somebody there that you just don't like because you think they're a jerk McJerkface. No harassment. That kind of ties into what I was just saying. And your championing process is integrity and consistent within policy. Again, you're a machine. You're a policy quoting machine, and you want to use everything within policy in articulating your argument, which is the meeting room equivalent of a well-tailored blazer. Everybody likes a smarty McSmirtson. So, how to verify what actually happened. If you're coming in late and you're trying to figure out why don't they have this work was available in my last school or my last library, you can request receipts, and receipts are always better than rumors. So you want to look at the policy and the exact consideration form used. You want to read the committee and or board's Minutes, which are the handwritten rationale, which is retain, relocate, restrict, or just remove, which is the ban. You want to check current shelf and checkout status for the intended audience. If removed, does the rationale cite policy criteria? Good. Or we just like the viewpoint, legally shaky and pico pico adjacent. So if it was the latter, they did the whole process wrong. And I'm pretty sure you have justification to proceed and appeal if you are gung ho about getting that work unbanned. Um, so we're gonna do this in a one breath recap. Complaint, reconsideration form. Committee reads the whole book. Policy-based recommendation. Possible appeal. Sometimes courts. Keep your arguments in the language of policy, age, placement, educational value, not ideology. Use ALA, NCA, CPN, UABB, NACLU like a well-stocked toolbox. Done. There we go. So yeah, that's how it all works. It's very complicated, very meetings, opinion based. But again, policy's your friend here. And if you like what we're doing here, please leave a comment in the comments section. There we go. That makes sense, right? Give a like and subscribe. We're getting a Patreon going up and running. We have several members, which is going to lead into a book club. We're going to start that in January, but we're already having meetups and discussions of books, and it's a lot of fun. So if that may be your bag, maybe you consider heading on over to my Patreon page. That link will also be down in the descriptions with a lot of those acronyms beneath them. So I think that is going to do it for today. I hope you learned a lot and keep on booking on.